Welcome back to Jarhead Jed, where adventure is always just around the corner. In part 1, we started this ride in the rain. Cold, wet, and not ideal, but we went anyways. Now we're heading higher, up Viking Mountain Road, where the fog sets in. The road gets more rough, and things start to change. Not the conditions, but the mindset. Before we keep rolling, I want to give a quick shout out to a friend of mine, Pink, with High Risk Media Group. He does some top-notch photography and has some merch available on his website. This tin here holds nicotine or caffeine pouches. I actually took this picture at the top of Viking Mountain that day. If you want to check out his work or pick something up, I'll have his info linked below. The climb didn't stop. If anything, this is where the ride started to come alive. Greene Mountain Road had already done its part. Cold, wet, steady rain that never let up. But turning onto Viking Mountain Road, something shifted. Not the weather, that stayed the same. It was me. The road got rougher as I climbed, not extreme, but enough to keep you working. Loose gravel, ruts, sections where you had to stay loose on the bike and let it move underneath you. The kind of riding where you're engaged the whole time. And somewhere in that, I realized something. I wasn't just enduring it anymore. I was enjoying it. And that doesn't really make sense. At least not on the surface. Cold, wet, visibility dropping the higher I went. By most people's standards, that's not a good ride. And maybe that's true. But there's something about it. Something about choosing to be out there anyway. That changes how you feel. I remember thinking to myself, anybody else here riding in this has to be a little off. And maybe that's true too, because most people avoid this. They wait for better conditions, better days, clear skies. But there's something different about a day like this. It strips everything down. No distractions, no crowds, no noise. Just you, the machine, and the mountain. I passed one Forest Service worker on the way up, and that was it. No other riders, no traffic. Just one guy working in conditions most people would have stayed home from. We passed each other without much more than a glance, but there's a kind of understanding in moments like that. You don't have to say anything. You both know. You chose to be out there. The higher I climbed, the thicker the fog got. Not sudden, not steady. Closing in little by little, until the world shrank down to what was right in front of me. The road, the bike, and not much else. And instead of feeling tense, it felt quiet. There's something about the mountains in weather like this. Covered in fog, wrapped up in clouds. It changes the way everything looks. Not dramatic, not loud, just different. Almost like the mountain isn't trying to show itself off. It's just being what it is. And I think that's what I noticed most. There was a kind of beauty to it. Not the kind you get from a clear overlook. Not the kind people take pictures of, but something quieter, something real. The mountain didn't need perfect conditions to be what it was, and neither did the ride. And somewhere in that, it hit me. This is what it looks like to stop fighting it. Not just enduring the conditions, but accepting them. Even appreciating them. Not because they're comfortable, but because they're honest. There's a verse that came to mind somewhere along that climb. Be still and know that I am God. Psalms 46:10. And I don't think that always means physically still. Sometimes it just means quiet. Letting everything else settle, letting the noise fade out, and just being present in the moment. Because that's what this felt like. Not chaos, not struggle, just quiet. The kind of quiet you don't get very often. The road kept climbing, the bike kept moving. Rain still falling, fog still thick. Everything exactly as it had been. But I didn't feel the same anymore. Because I wasn't trying to get through it. I was in it. And I think that's something a lot of people miss. We spend so much time trying to get past things that we never actually experience them. We rush through discomfort, avoid it, work around it, but sometimes there's something in it. Something you only find if you stay, if you slow down, if you're willing to sit in it long enough. By the time I got close to the top, there was no view, not in the way people expect. No overlook, no big reveal, just fog, wind, cold air, and the mountain hidden. And if you'd think that would feel like a letdown, all that climbing, all that effort for nothing to see, but it didn't. Because the reward wasn't the view, it was everything that led up to it. The decision to go, the willingness to stay in it, the shift from fighting it to accepting it. And standing there on top of that mountain in the fog, there was something about it. Something peaceful, but still wild. Like the mountain hadn't been tamed. Like it didn't care if you were there or not. And for whatever reason, that felt right. Not everything has to be clear to be worth it. Not every reward looks the way you'd expect. And I think that's something I'm still figuring out. Because the ride wasn't over. Not even close. And whatever was coming next, I was already in. And standing there in the fog, I realized something else. At some point, I was going to turn around. Same road, same conditions, same mountain, but a completely different direction. And if you've ridden long enough, you know that feeling. The way back never feels the same as the way up. Even though nothing's really changed, Everything feels different. The lines look different. The road feels different. Even the way you see it changes. And I think life can be a lot like that. Sometimes it's not about changing where you are, it's about changing the direction you're heading. A shift in focus, a decision to turn around, to stop chasing everything for yourself and start looking towards something bigger, toward God. And when that happens, you're still on the same road, but you don't see it the same way anymore. And I had a feeling the ride down was going to show me that. If you're riding along with me, go ahead and hit that like button, subscribe to the channel, and I'll see you in part 3. Because the direction you're heading changes everything.